Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Alchemical Life Podcast. This is your host, Abigail Crow speaking. And if you do not already know, I am a strength coach. I work every time I do this intro, I mess it up. I work primarily with endurance athletes to help them run better, faster, stronger, forever. But I work with all kinds of athletes. I just love being a strength coach. It's really quite fun. And I'm an endurance athlete myself. I have really been getting into running, and it's been so fun. I'm currently in the middle of a mile training block, deep in it. And one thing that I have found gets more tired than anything, and it is my mind. And so that is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the overall just mental toll that training can take on you, my own experience with it. This is not the first time that I've had any kind of, mental exhaustion from training. I have also trained jujitsu and I've done other events before, Spartan races, and just really hard training blocks in general. So, and I ran track in high school. So this is not the first time that I've had, my brain exhaust me in a training block, but this is the first time I'm going to talk about it on a podcast. So, and I'm definitely feeling it. We are 6 weeks out. 6 weeks? I think exactly 6. 6 weeks out from, not exactly 6, but a little bit over 6 weeks out from the mile, breakfast at the track. And I am feeling it. My body is tired. My brain is tired. I get more and more nervous for training sessions, and they tend to get in my head more and more as the block goes on. And so I thought, let's talk about it, because all of you guys who are listening to this, you guys are in some kind of athletic pursuit, most likely, or a work pursuit, or, you are a runner yourself, whatever it may be. You understand that there are times in which the brain starts just it goes into overdrive over all of the hard work we've been doing. And sometimes it's like, man, I feel like my body's okay actually, but my brain is not. And what does that actually mean? What happens when the brain is not in a good spot? And for me personally, I'm going to speak from personal experience, but I also, have some experience obviously working with athletes and just their own experience with it. So I kind of combined them together into one little notes file. But most of this, I would say, is my own personal experience. And because I'm the only one that exists in my brain, you're the only one that exists in your brain. And I find that when the mental toll starts hitting hard from training is when you start to obsessively stress over training sessions, stress to the point where it's something you just like, you start thinking about your training session days in advance. You are, I would say I'm at a point now where I'm thinking about my Thursday workout. It's Monday. So, I'm also saying this from a place of like, I'm in this spot right now. So, I feel y'all, but I would say that, stress over sessions, you start thinking about them and thinking about them a lot, thinking about them a little bit more than probably you need to. You start stressing over factors around your training sessions. So things like your nutrition, your sleep, outside stress, right? Like work or, relationships or outings, social outings. Like everything starts to become a stressor because all of it seems to now have some kind of effect on your training session. Maybe, no, I can't go out this because 2 days from then I have this track session that I need to care about. And, oh yeah, they want to go out to dinner this date, but I can't go out to dinner that day because I got to make sure that I'm eating the meal that I know is going to make me feel good for this session tomorrow, whatever. And also they want to go out at 7. And if I'm eating late, then I'm probably not gonna be able to fall asleep till late. My stomach's going to feel full when I go into my workout 6 a.m. the next morning. Those are all things. I got to make sure, okay, I've had enough carbs today. Maybe I've had too many carbs. I should probably get a little bit more protein in my day. Yeah. All of that stuff that we think about that you don't realize maybe that your brain is thinking about all the time, but it starts to compound, right? And you get, 6 weeks into your training block and you realize, oh my God, this is all I think about. All I think about is every social interaction, work interaction, nutrition choice, whatever. It all really kind of surrounds around this training block, and then thus the race that is, or whatever, your testing is, your whatever strength lift you've got going on, or a competition or a tournament or whatnot. It's all around this. All of your decisions are made around this thing. And it also starts to put more pressure on the thing, which I think makes it even worse. Um, so that seems to be what happens. And then the next question was, what does it lead to? Why does this, right? Because we think about it all the time, and at the beginning it seems fine, but across time, right, it leads to exhaustion. And what happens, for me personally, and in some of the athletes that I've noticed, I find that there's a certain level of like low level of depression from the high stress, and you're also usually taking part in less social interactions, right, less social events, because you're tired, you're not going out as much, you're not staying out late, you're not taking advantage of maybe the later evening weekend things that normally people would do, just because you're tired or you have to sleep and you got to train the next day. um, Sometimes you obsess over the nutrition and the sleep so much that it gets worse, right? Like you're so stressed about a training session you can't fall asleep, or you're so worried about, am I eating the right things, am I doing the right things, that you end up over consuming in the wrong things, under consuming the wrong things, or under consuming the right, hold on, my brain, under consuming the wrong things. Yeah, that's correct. Woo, Lord. um And I think what happens is you get to a place where you start majoring in the minors, you start overthinking a lot of stuff, and then you sort of miss the forest for the trees, which is just like, hey man, nail the protein most of the time, get a lot of carbs. If you don't have them directly around your training session, it's not the worst thing, but it might not make you feel good maybe in that direct training session, or it might take you a little bit longer to warm up, get yourself ready. Um, you should probably get decent sleep. Like all of these things we logically know, but when we're deep in a training block, and we put so much pressure around this training block because of the way that our brain leads spins about it, we think that it's like, this is it, this is the end of the world if we don't do exactly the things that we're supposed to do. I think you also become a little bit distracted from life itself, because you're thinking about the future events that are coming up, future training sessions, future meals, future sleep, future decisions that you have to make, saying yes or no to social interactions, the future that is the race, or is the competition, or is the tournament. And I think that also leads to, obviously, obsessive thoughts, and then it can lead to lack of productivity in work. If you find that it's really hard for you to get focused in work, it's really hard for you to get other things done, just because mentally, physically you're tired, but also mentally you're exhausted. It's just hard to really get in gear and get yourself to a place where you find that you can get in the flow and work. Um, that's how I think mental exhaustion is hitting pretty hard. Um, how do we alleviate these things, right? Because obviously you're going to deal with some level of mental exhaustion. Damn truck. Hold on. Obviously you're going to lead to some level. There's going to be some level of mental exhaustion in a training block, because you're doing something hard and it's just challenging. Um, what are ways we can help this? My, again, personal tips and some things that I've noticed with clients, or just with other athletes in general that I've observed, is meditation is extremely powerful. Just being able to sit and guided meditation, especially when you're really in a place where you cannot focus. Guided meditation is super powerful, because you don't have to try and sit there and do breath work and really get more in your head. You can listen to somebody guiding you through meditation, and then get yourself to a place where you're able to regulate a little bit more. The other thing that I would say is planning time with friends, actually scheduling time in advance. It's not spontaneous. It's maybe not as fun as just like a random hit up, let's go hang type of thing. But planning time with friends can be really helpful, uh, especially if you plan it around training sessions, so that you know that you're doing it the smart way. Planning earlier in the day is always a smart idea, but being able to still have those connections, social interactions, time with people we love, super, super important. I think giving yourself more time to wind down at night, because I found, for me personally, is I when I'm in this mental, oh my god, I got training and whatever and stuff, sleep is what gets the worst quick, and it's very hard. Once I fall asleep, I'm okay, but it's very hard for me to get to sleep. And so, and it's for me, sleep is one of those things. I need it. Like I need it. If I don't have my sleep for 2 or 3 consecutive days in a row, my performance severely decreases, and my mental health is bad, like my quality of life is bad, my ability to focus is bad, my everything is bad. It's very bad if I do not get good sleep. So giving myself more time to wind down, because I know that it takes me a long time to fall asleep, is super helpful. And this looks like dimming the lights earlier, shutting off my computer a little bit earlier. If I do work, it needs to be like pen and paper work or just planning things. I'll give myself time to obsess. If that's weird, but I'll like give myself an extra half hour at night to just be like, my brain's going to think about all of the things that I have to do tomorrow and all of the training and whatever. And I'm just going to let it sort of filter through. Another thing is having a wind down activity. So having something like a fiction book or journaling or drinking some tea, super helpful. It's almost like a routine to wind down. That way you can drink your tea, you can read your fiction book, your brain can kind of go to another place, and it can give your brain time to be like, oh, we can chill, we can relax. And then you'll feel those sensations of being very tired. Your body will get to a place where it's ready to go to bed. And I found it super helpful to get yourself to sleep by giving yourself the option to wind down in the first place. Going right from nothing worse than going right from bed, like work to shower to trying to fall asleep. It will take me, I might as well take an extra hour to just read and do my wind down routine anyways, because otherwise I'll just be tossing and turning to go to sleep. And then my sleep is affected if I go to sleep super stressed out. So, yeah, wind down routine, wind down activity, imperative, very important. And then things to help manage time and nutrition to get rid of the constant what ifs and thoughts and plans. Meal prep, super helpful. Even if you don't prep like actual meals, I'm going to be releasing a cookbook here soon, and it's going to give some meal prep advice. But I bulk prep my protein so that I can still during the day, like kind of make decisions about what I want to have and have like somewhat of a fresh meal. So I'll have like sweet potatoes laying around. I'll have rice already prepped up and cooked. And then, like lean ground beef and maybe some chicken ready. And then I'll just throw stuff in, if I find I'll heat up a sweet potato and heat up some ground beef. I'll be like, this is what I feel like having with some vegetables. Or I'll heat up some chicken and put it with some egg and rice, and I'll have that for lunch. It's just, you can sort of grab and go and throw, and you don't have to think about it too much, but you also still have some autonomy over the meals that you consume, so that it feels like you're really eating like a nice, good, fresh lunch or dinner, whatever it may be. Meal prep, bulk prep is super helpful, and it takes a lot of the stress out of the day to day, trying to find time. And when your brain is in a place where it's trying to make decisions really stressed out, you end up just making a bad decision oftentimes. I mean, truly. So meal prep, take some of the decision-making process out of it and just have yourself ready. Training with others. I cannot explain how powerful training with others is. There's nothing like suffering with people that makes the suffering less bad, okay? Sorry, I had to sip water. I can confidently say, I would not get through this training block had I not had people with me. I might have gotten through the training block, but I definitely would not have pushed myself as hard, and I definitely would not have enjoyed it as much. I don't think I would have finished the training block. I think I would have taken a lot more sessions easier. I would have taken more sessions off. I don't think that I would have eked what I could out of the training block had I not had people there with me. And that is like extremely important. I mean, to be able to have people that can kind of suffer with you, that there are people there, they're waiting for you. They need you there, you need them there. You guys are going through the shit together. You guys can talk about these things. There's some joy in that. It makes it so much more fun. Dare I say, it actually is fun. And training with other people, I mean, huge. I love training by myself. I actually lift by myself most of the time. But I've done weeks where I've had to be by myself running, and you get it done. But I'll tell you what, it's just not quite as fun. So when you're having that mental moment, being able to pull out some of the things like training with others or other, performance enhancers or fun things like after a training session, having your favorite breakfast. So there's that moment of, okay, I'm going to train and I'm going to do this hard thing, but then I get like my favorite breakfast or, this coffee that I really like. Being able to, when you train on those hard days where you really don't want to, have like a playlist that you love, that pumps you up, put that on. Those little like hits of dopamine during the moments where you really don't want to do the thing helps you get the thing done anyways. So that's super helpful. Sometimes if I have to train by myself too, I'll compromise, right? Like maybe I hate doing threshold work by myself outside, but I can do it on the treadmill if I put on my good playlist. So I'll be like, you know what? I hate doing this. I don't want to do it. I don't want to show up for it today, but I'm going to do it on the treadmill. I'm going to get it done, and I'm going to get it done with my favorite playlist. And so let's knock these 6 miles out. Okay. And that helps a lot. Last thing is reframing. Being able to get to a space where you can reframe I put it in all caps because I truly think it's the most powerful one. It's the most important one. And it's radical acceptance, truly. Being like, I chose to do this. I get to do this. And it doesn't have to be shitty. Also, it doesn't have to be perfect. Not every week has to look really freaking good. And I think sometimes there's a little bit more pressure. For me personally, I can speak to it on this week. The last couple weeks, I've had amazing sessions in terms of my times have been pretty damn good for my training sessions. Not every session has looked absolutely perfect, but for the past couple weeks, my sessions have been pretty damn good. I've been very consistent, and I've been improving as well. That puts some pressure on me as I go into this next week to show up even better. And there's two things. There's one, a reframe of this is all fun and it is okay. Not every week has to be a PR. So there's that reframe. There's also the reframing of you're here to put in the work anyways, and you actually really like the suffering part of it. So just enjoy it and just do your fucking best. And those two, I find when they actually go together when they're combined, they're powerful, because it's both this is fun, not everything needs to be a PR, and also you're going to do your best anyways. So you can be proud of whatever you finish with. You're comfortable being in the pain cave. You're comfortable trying your hardest. You can do it. And if you miss and you don't PR, you don't PR. This is fun. And that is super powerful. It's hard to get to that place of being able to reframe there, but it's important to be able to do so. To be able to get to a spot where you can say, nah, might not be my day, but I'm going to do my damn best. Because this is what I choose to do. This is what I get to do. And the painful days where I show up and I suffer through them and I still kind of miss, those can be sometimes the biggest lessons and the most rewarding and tell you a lot. Now, when is it too much? When is it like I'm doing all these things, I'm still fucked up? When do you literally need to take a deload because of your mind? Well, one, ideally you follow a scheduled deload, right? You get to the end of your training block. So you follow the scheduled deload, you hit the deload at the time you're supposed to during your training block. Let's say you're past that deload, you get to the end of your training block. You just make it. That's ideal. When is it time to intervene? Well, one, if your performance dips considerably, right? Because your brain is so in a place where it's just bleh, and your performance is just rocked. Okay. That's obviously one. I think that another thing would be if your performance dips not just in training, but also significantly in work, especially if it's a job that you really need to be performing well in. Your athletic pursuits, unless you are a pro athlete, I don't think you're a pro athlete listening to this. Like, your athletic pursuits aren't what's paying the bills. Your job is. So if your job starts taking a serious dive, then you got to just take a break. You don't necessarily need to stop training at all, but you need to maybe reconsider the race goal, or you need to just take a week where you just do fun runs and say fuck it to your programming and just have a chill week where you just run for fun. Okay. Consistent poor sleep, right? This kind of intervenes with performance at work and in life, all these other things, right? But like consistent poor sleep is just going to be as bad, right? We need to sleep. We need our sleep. So if that becomes a consistent problem, because what'll happen is mentally it will mess you up, but then also it's going to physically take a toll on you. And it's not just going to take a toll on your performance. It's going to take a toll on your legit physical health. You might find yourself getting sick, feeling really poor. This can start messing with your blood work, your hormone. Like it's not good. You need to make sure you're getting good sleep. So if you're getting consistently bad sleep, that's definitely a time to say, my brain needs a break. We got to schedule a deload. Um, Constant isolation, consistent isolation, where you're constantly saying no to social outings, social events. You're finding yourself isolating yourself from other people, and having quite often intrusive and obsessive thoughts about your training. So you're isolating yourself, and the obsessive thoughts start getting worse. The loops start getting more loopy. Those kinds of things. I think that's when it's time to say, maybe I need to take a couple of days here and just reevaluate my shit. And then obviously any kind of like so high stress that you have trouble breathing. This has happened to me, where you go to bed at night and you almost start like hyperventilating because your chest is so constricted because of stress. You're waking up in the middle of the night because you're having trouble. If you start taking part in any kind of disordered behavior, so whether that be like OCD like tendencies, or just disordered behavior from sleep, um, irritable moods, disordered eating, that kind of thing. I think that's when, because just you're obsessing over your nutrition or things like that, I think that's when it would be time to also take a mental break. It does not mean to, by the way, like taking a mental break, it doesn't mean that you're weak, and it doesn't mean that you need to like completely never compete. It just might mean that you need a few days, maybe even if it's a half week, or maybe if it's just skipping one session, to just say, I have got to back up off of this for a second. It might not even be skipping a whole session. It might even be showing up to the session and saying, I'm only doing half of this workout today. Like just because I can't, like I need to get to a place where I can only do, like I'm only doing half this session today because I've got to chill out. Oftentimes your coaches will completely understand. In fact, your coaches will probably encourage it, because some of them are seeing you struggling and seeing they're like concerned, and they just maybe they haven't talked to you about it, or they haven't quite intervened yet, but they were ready to. So most of the time, as a coach, like we're usually pretty on it in terms of noticing it and being like, no, yep, we need to take a break. But if they don't notice it, I promise you, if you do have a run coach or a strength coach and you're like, I think I need a break and I don't want to be weak, just go to them and talk to them about it, and I promise you they will have a good game plan of action to get you to a space where you can still get work in, not lose any fitness, and take a mental break, because it's important, you guys. Races are fun and we want to push ourselves and we always want to be better, but at the end of the day, like, we have to live life, and work still needs to be done. Like, work still got to pay bills. Still wanna have family and friends and people that we love and care about around us. So it's just really important that we make sure to keep those things top of mind, because like we got to make sure we remember what really matters. And what really matters is, like, we love our people love us. We're showing up for ourselves, we're showing up for our jobs, we're showing up for life. And if we can't do that, and we can't have some fun, and we can't find joy in the suffering here, then we just need to just back up a couple steps, pause, maybe not even back up, just pause, and then recontinue. I don't know why I said recontinue. We need to continue after that. I think that's it today. That's all I have to say about a mental toll of training. I definitely am getting to a spot where I'm probably myself personally at the, like, we need to start using the tips. I'm going to find me a good fiction book to start reading at night, because I don't think I'm at a place where I'm so like, we need to pause, but I'm definitely where it's like, it's taking me about an hour to fall asleep every night, and I'm starting to think about my training sessions super far in advance. And so we're at a spot where it's like, all right, maybe it's time to get us a fiction book and start bringing back in the meditation. Let me know if you guys have ever struggled mentally with training, if you guys have ever had where training takes a huge mental toll on you. And just engage with me on it. It's something that I'm very curious about. As much as I love strength coaching and all the things that have to do with that, especially for endurance athletes and the just endurance training in general, I'm very fascinated with psychology and the psychological toll that doing something hard in general can take on a person and human psychology in general. So, anyways, thank you guys for listening. If you all want to get started with your own fitness for running, I have one-off purchase programs that you can buy to use in conjunction with your run plan. Or if you have a run coach, you can use these training sessions to help you with your races. I also offer one-on-one coaching for anybody that wants to elevate their game when they're hitting up their races. They want to go to the starting line feeling healthy, feeling super strong, getting faster, more powerful, and be able to endure for longer, right? Have a faster, tougher pace for longer periods of time without any form breakdown. Hit me up. I think that's all. See you guys next time. Like, subscribe. Bye.